Libra.
Yeah, it's Libra. And I didn't know it at the time, but yeah, it turned out that way.
It's almost like we planned this.
Yeah. Where are you based, Gia?
Herndon, Virginia, which is outside of DC.
Okay.
Okay, so we're live.
Yay.
Yeah, what's up? So I'm gonna find this. Oh, someone's already liking it. It's Angie. Hi, Angie. Okay. Hi, Megan. Okay, so I'm going to come so I can look at you. Hello. So hello, MDL, and welcome. I have Steve Nobel here, and we are all really excited to be talking to you today. Hi, Kim. Hi, Carmen. So Steve and I were just having a really fun discussion about our astrological chart. So all of you who know me know that I'm totally geeked out about that right now. We discovered that we're both about even Pluto Scorpio and Libra Venus vibe in our charts. So that's pretty fun. Hi, Rachel. And what else were we talking about? Eating paleo style or Whole30 style?
Whole30, yeah.
Yeah. And so you were about to tell me about your middle name. So let's hear about that.
Oh, right. Well, my middle name, well, I did a name change back in 1999. I just felt the vibration of my old name was something to be changed. My old family name was Nunn, N-U-N-N. And I thought, I'm not gonna, that doesn't feel right. So I meditated on it, and it took me 6 weeks, and I came up with this name Nobel, which was not too dissimilar. But then a friend said to me, this psychic friend said, oh, no, the Nobel family's got bad karma. They invented dynamite and all this kind of stuff, it's a peace prize, but it was dynamite. A bit like Libra Scorpio. There's the nice peace and there's the dynamite, So I thought about that. I thought, oh, maybe he's right. So I changed it to Noble, N-O-B-L-E. And I found a solicitor in London, and I phoned them up and said, I want a name change document. And I spelt it out N-O-B-L-E. And they said, fine, it'll be ready in 10 days. I went and collected it. I signed for it. And then I looked at it, and the name change was Nobel. He made a mistake. I mean, the solicitor made a mistake. So I thought, okay, this is providence. My name's meant to be Nobel. And it felt right. I'm glad it was Nobel. And then about, how long ago? 5 years ago, was it? I went and had this session with a soul contract reader who goes into the names and numerology, and said, your name needs to be tweaked. There's a problem with it. And I said, okay. And so I said, let's choose an angel name. And so I chose a number of them. And then eventually she said, this one is okay, but you need to tweak it slightly. So I found this name on the internet, Aniel, which means messenger of God or something like that. And I thought, well, that sounds good. I'm about public speaking, so it fits. And then I changed my name, and then I went to look again after I changed it legally, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I thought, that's really strange. And I really hunted around, and then eventually found it, and it said, oh, Aniel, angel of love, sex, and sexuality and passion or something. And I was like, I didn't sign up for that. So suddenly I've got this name in the middle, which is very Venetian, really, very Libran Aphrodite name, Right. But I got no idea why the universe wanted me to do that, because it's not really my core message, love, sex, and passion, really. But hey.
It does make sense with the chart, though.
Yeah, the Libran energy and the Venus energy, yeah, which I do love the Venus energy for sure.
I mean, the Scorpio brings in that other stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi, honey. Hi, Steph. Hi, Michael. So thank you so much for being here. I was telling you earlier that we're all pretty geeked out. We even created a hashtag, we all go #TopFan, because we share your stuff so much in the group. So thank you so much for just bringing forward all of these transmissions for so long, and for so much. Kim's laughing, Kim O'Brien's laughing, because she and I are the ones that say that and stuff. So thank you for being here and all the transmissions that you've done and you've shared, because they've been so impactful to my life personally. I just want to personally thank you for what you're bringing forward. So much of it, I mean, this is free content, and what generosity, and just to give so much of your time and your energy to the collective is just so beautiful to me. And I mean, I aspire to be, you know, as impactful and bring that much healing and light to others in such a way. So I just really, really appreciate who you are and what you're doing so much.
Thank you.
I want to say
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
I bow in gratitude deeply. And I can speak for the group because so many people say the same thing. So even though your grandchildren are not giving you the same validation as we discussed earlier.
They think my YouTube channel is a bit crazy. They went on it and they had a look, say, Granddad, all you're doing is sitting there going om. I think an adult must have told them that's what I'm doing, just going om.
That's definitely not what you're doing.
No. And I kind of look bemused and think they haven't really looked at it, but they've obviously picked up something from somewhere. And
Right, clearly.
yeah. Well,
so
maybe one day they'll appreciate it.
They will. They have to, right? Especially when things are like 10 years from now, 5 years from now, when we're like in the new earth and like in that frequency, I think we a whole different perspective. They'll be like, he built this, he helped build it. You know, like,
he knew something. Yeah.
You know, it'll be a bigger deal. Now,
yeah.
You know, it's other things, you know, it's pop culture that's exciting. So
yeah, it's mobile phones and internet games.
So it's a good thing. So I would love to just get started, and I'm not going to have you introduce yourself because we obviously know who you are, but I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming the light worker, the light bringer, whatever you call yourself that you are at this time.
Okay. So I was born in London, 1957, so a while ago. So I'm 62 at the moment. And so I was born into a working class family. I mean, I was born in a family where rationing had only ended 3 years before, after World War I. So we're coming into this kind of 1950s conservative Britain with conservative values. And so I was born into this rather conservative working class family. And I was growing up in the 60s, you know, and all the stuff from America was coming over, you know, all these wonderful, you know, the Beatnik. And I remember one show, Rowan and Martin, I think it was called, way back. It was an old 60s show, which was very much Goldie Hawn was on it. And it was all very, wow, this is really cool. And obviously when I was growing up, Woodstock was happening, the Beatles were happening. So while I was over here, obviously the Beatles were the big thing. And actually my mother liked the Beatles, but so I was growing up in this family, and I was really attracted to all this new wave of, you know, hippie, flower power, spirituality coming over. But my family were not really that interested in it, didn't like it so much. So as the child, I could read superhero comics, and that was my way in, and sci-fi, and you know, people have superhero powers, and there are other worlds, and there was Doctor Who, and then later, as a young teenager, Star Trek came on, the first, I think, early series of Star Trek, which I remember seeing in color with the laser beams in the scarlet red, and I was like, oh, because it's all black and white before then for me, and I was like, that's cool. And so as I was growing up, I was getting more and more interested in other things, and I had some kind of, I don't know if it was awakening or what, but I changed. As a 16-year-old, I was academic, into sports, football, athletics, and then I suddenly became interested in yoga, martial arts, and the occult. At the time, it was called the occult, you know, spirituality, but yoga, the occult. And I became macrobiotic. So I changed. I didn't really understand the change. I didn't understand what was going on inside of me. But I did apply to a number of spiritual organizations saying, hey, you know, here I am, a 16-year-old, I'm interested in, you know, finding out more. And they all said, go away and come back when you're 21. Okay. So I was like, oh, so I was kind of feeling I was a bit weird, and I had the feeling I should try to be normal. So I tried to be normal. I went and got a normal job in the City of London in finance, in banking, and I married, and I had 2 children when my daughter by the age of 22, my son by the age of 25. So I was settling down to this conventional life. And but then by the age of 33, I think it was, my father died. I have a big wake-up call, and I just went in search of stuff, and I found all these spiritual teachers. I found one sign pointed to another. There was synchronicity happening. I didn't know about synchronicity. This was my first experience of it. It's like, wow, something is happening, something magical. And I found this amazing crystal healer who was giving me these healing sessions once a week for 18 months. And I started to open up. She put in stones on my body, you know, all these points in my body. And then I started feeling a hand in my energy field. And I was like, because I needed some proof of something. I didn't want to just think, this is really interesting. And the moment I said, I could feel your hand, my eyes were closed. And she said, where is it? And I'd tell her. She said, open your eyes. And there it was. And I thought, I couldn't, it was a way away. So it wasn't the heat of it. It was quite a way away. So I thought, that's kind of really weird. And then she told me about this principle, you create your own reality. And I asked her about that. And she said, well, just try visualizing something. And so I tried doing it. It didn't work at first, but then it started working. And then she told me about car parking angels. And I'm like,
yeah,
there are angels interested in my car parking, you know? And so my mind was being blown apart. And then she introduced me to another teacher who became the main teacher for 10 years, opened me up completely. She's passed over now, unfortunately. She's a brilliant English teacher from England, I mean. And this person, I did a lot of workshops, a lot of retreats with her. And she introduced me to a whole lot of stuff. And then it was open, like Pandora's box was open. I was exploring everything.
mm-hmm.
The marriage ended because, you know, it wasn't compatible with my Pandora's box. And that was hard because my children were 9 and 13 at the time. And so I went on this adventure, shamanism, Wicca, metaphysics, Druidism, energy healing. I joined a spiritual organization called Alternatives. I volunteered there every week, watching all these wonderful spiritual authors like Wayne Dyer when he was still around, and these kind of people. And then in the late 90s, I resigned from my conventional job. I'd left the bank by then. I was in local government and I resigned. And then I went on this whole journey. I became a director of this organization, Alternatives. So I was managing it. So for 13 years, I was a director. And then I got another soul calling of time to change. And I was like, no. I was with my second long-term partner then. I was going, no, I'm kind of happy, I think, you know, second long-term partner, this brilliant job. And I resisted it. And then my life kind of imploded. And I went on a dark night of the soul journey for 6 years, which was very, very difficult. It was I'd had the magical car parking angels experience. And then I went into the underworld experience, the dark, you know. And then I emerged on the other side in 2000.
At what age were you when you went into Dark Night of the Soul then?
2010. So that was 10 years ago. So I was 52. So I just passed my Chiron return. So Chiron return was really the big, you know, and I got warned by an astrologer. He said, you're going to have an Armageddon transit when you're 50. And I was like, what's that? You know, it didn't sound good. Armageddon transit. So I had my Chiron as an Aquarius, the fifth house. So in that time, I wrote 2 books. It was the kind of opened up my old creativity, and then when I came back out of the dark night in 2016, I had a voice saying, "You got to talk now about star seeds and ascension." And I was really like, "Oh, that wasn't really what I wanted to hear." Like, welcome back to the spiritual world, and it was like, I've got to talk about this stuff. And I didn't really want to do it, to be honest, because I wasn't sure if I believed in it. But when I reflected on it, I think, you know, ascension, something did happen after coming up to 2012. And I was putting the pieces together, and it made sense to me that even though I didn't believe in this trigger point, actually, I think something happened to me personally, which was very, very massive. And I was thrown into this dark for a reason, a bit like the Harry Potter dark arts training in a way. I was getting kicked by
in the series right now. My son and I are reading it. That's really fun.
Oh yeah. So I was being led by Professor Snape. You know, I was having the real dark arts. You know, I didn't really believe in the dark. You know, I'd done a lot of shamanism and journeyed in the underworld, but I didn't find lower astral or dark. But then I found the dark. It was the dark wanting to get me. And I came out, I started to run workshops. I started to do transmissions, which I resisted at the beginning because I didn't think I should be really channeling goddess. And the first one was this called the Earth Star Goddess. It was in Greece. I was in Greece, and I got this energy coming down. It took me 2 or 3 days to really work and understand it. But then I remember going, but I haven't got a womb. You know, I don't think I should be channeling a goddess.
Yeah.
And the messages I got was, you can't resist this. Just go with it. And I was like, oh, all right. So I just said yes to everything. A bit like the Yes Man. You know that film, The Yes Man? I just say yes to everything. So I said yes, and I started channeling it. And in the beginning, it didn't get a lot of interest. But then the guide said to me, you've got to make this more professional. So I was like, oh, I've got to learn about video editing and audio. All right, okay. So I went and got some training and made them more professional. So now there's a whole, but I mean, if you've seen the early ones, they were pretty bit basic, you know, but now they've upgraded them all and they all look a bit more nicer. And in the beginning, it was a one-way conversation. It was almost like spirit telling me, this is what we want you to put out there. But now it's a two-way conversation. I'm kind of speaking to them going, how about X? What about an anger meditation? Or what about dealing with fear? And then if it's got resonance, something comes through.
Yeah.
But sometimes I put it out there and it doesn't completely come through. I've got several kind of in the can, half done. They're not ready, and maybe they'll stay there for another year or two, but they're not coming yet. So it has to come through my body, and it has to work through my body, and it has to have all the steps. Otherwise, if I run it and something's missing, I go, something's missing, you know, it's not ready. So I go back and I go, what's missing? And I run it and again, and then if I find the bit, oh, now it works. Now it can flow through my body. So it flows through my body, it'll flow through other people's body. That's my operations. If it doesn't flow through me, I don't think I should put it out, basically.
So do you just channel them straight through and record, or do you write them?
I write them. So, for example, one of the last ones was called Summoning the Dragon, which
yeah,
was
we love that one. And
yeah.
Oh yes, we all went crazy. Like literally, as soon as you release them, if not me, someone shares them in the group, and they're like, "Not off the press!"
The dragon. So, I mean, I had this friend of mine who's a dragon healer going, "Oh, the dragons want to work with you. You got to," and I'm like, "Well, I can't feel them yet. I don't know." And I had a dream the night before I put that one out, and the dream was a dragon came to me in the dream, and I had to get on the dragon and fly to this volcano and dump all this garbage which was going on in my energy field, which I was picking up. And then I woke up going, that's cool. It felt like a complete thing, so I just recorded it. But usually I start getting the meditate. Often happens in either used to be the bath or sleeping. So and I'd wake up going, oh, it's run, and there's this, and sometimes it run through several times, and then I get up, I'd write it all down, and I'd feel it and go, is it ready? And sometimes it's ready immediately, and sometimes I have to wait a day, and sometimes I have to wait a week or so, and sometimes one or two of them have been months just sitting there, and they go, oh, now it's time. For some reason I finish it and put it out there. So they're not logical, because they don't make any logical sense in any terms of, you know, where do I start and where do I end? People say, well, where do I begin? And I'm like, I don't know. Right. Just go. I've got no idea where you should begin with them.
Allow it. Let it come. Don't fight it.
Yeah, I think that just kind of fit together somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the dragon one, I know that my experience was that I was already on the dragon when you were like, now ask the dragon if you can ride it. And I was like, oh, we'll ride it. Like,
I'm already on.
And then like several other people said the same thing, actually. So yeah. I feel like we have those experiences along with you, and you know, that's part of your gifts, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking sometimes the collective are speaking, you know, they're saying, come on, we want this or we want that. And or sometimes a client would say, how about this? And I'm tuning in, I go, oh yeah, that feels right, ready for the collective. If it's not ready for the collective, then I don't put it out. It has to be ready for. And a lot of people say, oh, I was waiting for this, it's the right time. And you know, and I guess that's the right, we're all in tune with each other in this collective game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going on now.
I like the sea virus one a lot too. And I like that you called it that, because I don't want to call it any of those names. Like I'm not comfortable with those, like just the names that people are calling this virus situation. I just don't like the name. So I was like, yeah, you feel me. When you were like sea virus, I was like, exactly. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I loved how it felt. And I loved the way you used the protection. I thought that one was really, really cool. Okay. Oh, Steph, I was going to ask that too. So Lisa's saying your voice is so calming in the meditations. Honey's talking to us. I know that you had Honey and Michael. Michael's here. Hi. On your podcast. That's
they're lovely people. Both of them great.
Oh yeah, they're incredible. Like, I'm so blessed to be friends with them. I'm just very joyful in that, and been beautiful, wonderful supports in my life and my journey. So lots of gratitude.
they have a unique mission, I think. You know, I'm just sitting at home having cups of tea and putting out some meditation. They're traveling around, you know, opening grids and doing this and that. I'm thinking they're doing amazing, whatever they're doing. I'm just sitting here having some water and, you know, putting some recordings out, you know. I'm having the easy life. They're out there in the field doing it.
I've said the same thing multiple times. I've been like, dude, Honey's mission, like, no, thank you. Like, it is so much. She's had to give up a lot. She's had to, so much. And, but gratitude for it. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ascension Alchemists.
Yeah.
She says the frequency fields have to be aligned as team above is indicated to bring the vibration through, right? Like without her laying the grid work, right? Then we couldn't put forth, or you couldn't put forth what you're sharing either, because that's all connected too.
Yeah.
And Lisa said your voice is so calming in meditations. And Steph wants to know, what is your favorite transmission? I was going to ask the same thing.
Oh, my favorite. Oh.
Got to change.
Well, I do love the Isis ones because I feel a very strong connection to Isis. I do love any of the Egyptian, anything connected with Egypt or Atlantean or Lemurian. I like those kind of ones. I really like the, was it Calling the Magician? Was that called it? Summoning the Magician? That one, I really enjoyed doing that one.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it either.
Yeah, it's an old one. It's one in the beginning. I really enjoyed that one.
Recently, actually, but I don't want to hop off of Facebook to check.
Yeah, but there was one actually I've used myself. One is gaining insight into an issue. I used that one a few times because I knew that I needed insight into an issue, and so I recorded that one where there's 3 levels of insight, which is the unconscious mind, conscious, and the superconscious mind. And there's something about that one that called me a few times just to get insight into various things going on in the world. So I've used it myself because all of these things I've put out there that I've used, I've done them all myself. The affirmation tracks I listen to, the higher light decrees I listen to, because actually it has a power sometimes listening to my own voice, you know, it kind of feeds back into me going, here's me talking to me going, come on, Steve, we're going to do whatever now, you know. And,
a higher light being.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, actually one I really did listen to a lot was called the Higher Light Decree, Realigning with Sovereignty. That one was really strong for me. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, that was really strong. That was one of the strongest I've done in a long time, I think, personally. That one.
It's a good one. I actually, so I think you know Darius, right? Honey introduced me to him. He was on Multidimensional Living in an interview, and then I got a session from him. I have another one coming up in May, which I'm excited and also terrified because my purge from his first one was so intense that I'm like, I have to go through this again. Like, maybe it won't be as intense the second session.
Maybe.
But it was worth it. It was amazing. But it was actually shortly after that that I started listening to that one, and it was very much in alignment with the whole. I don't know if you've ever done a healing session with him, but
yeah.
So have you done them all?
Well, I've stayed in his house, him and his partner, and I've been there twice, and so I had a session with him. And but I did the training that he did with the same teachers, which was kind of like light body surgery, which was incredible. But I think so Darius did it a long time ago, and so he's adapted it the way he does it, and I did it more recently, and I've adapted it. I don't do the way they, and I told them I'm not going to do this set way, I'm going to adapt it, and so we both do it in our own way, light body surgery really. But he's done it a long time, so he's really used to the working with that, pulling out and, you know, fiddling, and he's, and I love his accent. It's so intense and German, and
it kind of makes me think of Gru.
Yeah.
From the Despicable Me a little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's funny.
Darius tells me to do something, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. He has that kind of voice. I go, okay, yeah. And the great thing about Darius is he was a doctor for many years studying. Was it cancer specialist, wasn't he?
I love that. Like, I love that perspective of coming from that side. He was talking about in his interview, you know, starting to see elementals at the you know, surgery table or whatever it was, being like, and then there was a dragon there. And I was like, well, I can't tell my colleagues that I see a dragon. So good. I love it so much.
Yeah. If he's listening, hello, Darius. We love you.
I think he did say he shared my post about our interview and said he was going to listen. So hopefully he pops on. If not, he can catch the replay.
Yeah, we love you, Darius. So
Our
here's,
gratitude to Darius.
yeah.
Yeah, so I got the first one. It was very intense, but right after that, I started listening to, and it makes a lot of sense that you receive that training because it was very much in alignment. It felt like with the concepts and with what I was feeling afterwards and the sovereignty, and that's actually been my word all year. I've been talking about sovereignty, how important sovereignty is, how it's like the thing we need right now, you know.
Well, Darius was very hot on vowel breaks, and the training was very hot on vowel breaks. But having the session with Darius helped me understand it from a different level. So I put a few vowel breaks together for clients and everything. And that one, realigning with sovereignty, which is more of a breaking and really more of an aligning with something higher than the old vows we've taken. So he taught me a lot having the one session from him. I'm a bit like a magpie. I try and learn, even if I'm having sessions, I'm trying to learn, well, how can I absorb?
I tried to replicate it. I'm sure it was like not perfect, but I already tried in my own sessions to like do that whole jam for someone else, my friend Rachel, and I trade all the time. So I was like, okay, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Like lay it on me.
And the great thing is there's so many, I mean, I've been exposed to so many teachers and healers over the last 30 years, which has enabled me to get a big breadth. Well, I do have a pragmatic approach really, which is, does it work? This is the key thing. Does it work? And I mean, also with the transmissions, when I'm reading I do read all the feedback, I go through all the comments, and daily I just have a quick check and just see, is it working? I mean, it's great if people feel good. I'm feeling good after doing it. I feel lighter, which is great. But has it been effective in doing whatever it's done? And sometimes I do get some feedback, and I don't know how effective it will be, but different people just. So one, I think, was what was it? Implant device extraction. I did a meditation on that. And some guy messaged me saying a piece of crystal fell out of his eye. Physical crystal came out of his eye after the meditation. And I was like, a physical, because I wasn't expecting a physical crystal, but etheric crystals can come out and all kinds of weird stuff can come out. But a splinter of a physical crystal. And I've had that kind of thing come. And that's kind of really interesting because it's really, people are listening to it. And I feel there's a few things which are happening. One is we've created a huge field of energy now of starseeds, 93,000 tuning in. Well, there's 93,000 following it, whether they're all doing it. Maybe there's a hardcore of, I don't know, 20,000, maybe, I don't know how many. So it's creating a field. So when people meditate and go into it, the field is part of the healing now. So it's me going, connect with the field, connect with the guides, open up and let them do something, and they do it. And then they go, something happened. And I'm going, that's cool. That's my job, is just to lead you into the field, to connect you with who's going to do it and let them do it. And as I say, I'm just having a cup of tea at home, and whereas Honey and Michael are traveling, I'm just having the easy life,
Yeah.
And getting some of the acclaim. But really, the guys out there in the field, really, I think, I have spent years going out there and doing stuff, but now I'm in my 60s, so I'm more keen to have a hot cacao chocolate, and just sit back and enjoy myself.
I'm only 42. I'm 1977, so parallels. And I also am a fan of all of these things: tea, cacao, sitting in my house, not going.
Yeah, I've got less energy these days. I used to go to all the sacred. I still go to sacred sites. I go to crop circles every year. I do go into those places. I go to the Avebury, the Silbury Hill, Stonehenge. I do all that. Awesome. And Glastonbury, I'm there 3 times a year. And I was in Shasta in 2016. I was going to go to Shasta this summer, but actually, because of the whole thing, I got blocked. So I do go to sacred sites, but when I go there, I kind of meditate, do rituals, have tea. That's the
more for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. The Isis meditation is the one where we go back into womb, right? And we get that healing there. Man, that one got me. I was like weeping, and so I do them. So I get up really early, and my family, we co-sleep. So it's my husband, my son, me, and then my daughter, in that row. And so I wake up really early on the days that I work, and I get up, I practice my yoga, and I get back in bed, and then I pop on meditation. And in that space, the magic happens, right? And we got into that part where, and my husband like wakes up and he's like, are you okay? Like,
Yeah.
like I'm weeping.
Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
No,
when I was
meditation is amazing.
so last year I did some workshops in America, and in America they're going, "Oh, Steve, you've come over." I went to Portland and New Jersey. Did I say, is that right? New Jersey. And there was a lot of people going, I take you to bed, your voice to bed with me. And people found it hysterical, you know. And so I said to them, yeah, but have you got husbands with shotguns? Because I know what America's like for guns, you know. I'm getting a bit worried. Are they outside? You know, you're the guy who my wife takes to bed every night. You know?
Yeah, my husband was actually like, all right, he's like, let's hear one tonight without your headphones.
Yeah.
Last night, because he knew like we were having this interview. I was like, cool, let's do it.
How was he?
What's that?
How was it? How did he find it?
He fell asleep in like 4 minutes. I think he fell asleep before like Gabriel came in.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm actually finding young children. It's interesting. Young children listening to them now, like 7, 8, 9-year-olds. And one person said, "Oh, my daughter says, oh, it's the angel, the guy who calls the angels. I want to listen to him." And I was like, I thought that's interesting that young kids. And then I had a mother who was a coaching client. I did a healing client, and she said, "My daughter wants a session with you. She's 9." And I'm like, 9? I don't think really I've ever seen anyone, and I wasn't sure about it. But then she insisted. She's a starseed. She's really open. And this young girl was incredible. I thought when she's 20, she's going to be, you know, a bit like Honey going around doing the grids or something. And she was asking me really deep questions. And I'm like, I need to come back and see you in 10 years' time. I'll have a session with you. And she thought it was funny. But some of these kids now are just incredible. So some kids are interested now, which is great. Maybe I should do something for the kids.
Maybe I was thinking that if you did like a kids one, that would be really cool, like specific to them. My kids are interested in all of it. Like last night we were doing, I'm in a group called Transformation Ascension Group tag with my friend Rachel, and someone was doing a card pull on there, and so my kids were like, when's it your turn? When is your card pull? And then I'm in another group where there's readings from a medium, Heather Corbett, and like they're always like, are you up yet? When are we up? Can we say hi? Like they're totally into it. And my daughter always likes to pick oracle cards, and she's like, I want to do matching. So she loves to pick the oracle card and then open the book and find, you know, the reading for the card. It's like her favorite thing. They love the crystals. So last night I was like, okay guys, I got a big interview tomorrow. I'm really excited. And Jackson was like, with who? And I was like, Steve Noble. And he was like, he's a master.
How old is he?
That means you're a master too. And I was like, oh yeah.
How old is he?
I was like, I'll take it. 5, 6.
5. Yeah. Great.
He turned 6 in January. So
6 in January. Oh, 6. So he's a master at 6. Oh, wow.
Amazing. He was like, I'm a Reiki master. He's like, I did Reiki 3 because I teach Reiki also.
Oh, right.
The time. And so last time we had the Reiki master teacher, he came in at the end of the day and he wanted to do the attunements on the other people, on me. He wanted to give me an attunement. So he was insistent. Like, he's like, I want to do it to you. I want to do it to you. And I was like, fine. So I sat down on the chair and the students walked him through it. And little homie gave me an attunement. It was awesome. It was
That's amazing.
They're coming through.
That's incredible. These kids nowadays, and we were just laying the foundation for them. You know, they're going to change the world completely.
Exactly. Really, all we have to do is just stop getting in the way. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the thing is like, I think children always come in lit. They always come in perfect and connected and all of that. It's just that so much of the system, right, has been so hell-bent on like jamming that up literally at the first breath of life in every possible way, you know, that we just are like, get that, I'll put implants in them right away. Like, Get them all jacked up right away. Like make them forget as soon as possible.
Yeah, I know.
For big reasons, because there's, the powers that be are not wanting that kind of awakening, So
Sure. Yeah.
now there's a lot of us who are raising kids who are like, no, hands off my kids. Like,
yeah.
And I'm going to let them be exactly as they are. And getting chills from that. So,
Yeah.
That's how, it's like, yeah, we pave the way, but really all we have to do is just listen to them and protect them.
Yeah.
And like let them do their thing. They'll teach us. They'll bring it all forward. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, they're super bright, super wise, these kids, super intelligent. They have a different intelligence than, regular kids. They download, isn't it cool? You can just download stuff.
Yeah. Kim says the children are waiting for us to wake up and catch up.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree.
I know. It's true, really.
So I was really actually happy to hear you talking about astrology with so much knowledge, because when I did the moon disconnection meditation,
oh yeah,
which proved to be very controversial, I have to say, lots of opinions and comments on that from lots of people. And when I did it, I felt like, so how does this affect me as like someone who likes to pay attention to astrology and who has like used, astrology as a little bit of a guidepost from time to time in my life. And, I still feel like I connect with a lot of it as we were talking about, but the moon meditation, I would love to hear your perspective on, how that came about and where it really resonated. I felt like, okay, I feel this resistance, but I have to do this like right now. And I did. And it was very powerful.
Well, there was over the years, I'd read a few teachers talking about the moon. So one of the early one was Alice Bailey, who channeled Dwal Kul, talking about the moon is kind of an empty vessel. It's old. There's nothing in it that you should be connecting with. Energetic. Yeah, there's astrology connected to the moon, but that guide was, or that teacher was saying, we're really connecting with an energy behind the moon, not actually the moon itself, which is an empty rock. So I read that. I thought, well, that's interesting. I don't know. And then I heard Barbara Marciniak talking in the 90s about Barbara Marciniak, the channel. She channeled the Pleiadians, and she was talking about the control grid on the planet and the moon as part of the control grid. And at the time I was like, well, that's interesting. But I'm interested in Wicca. I was kind of exploring Wicca at the moment and doing a lot with the stuff with the moon, and I was exploring the moon energies. So I kind of put it to one side. So in Wicca, I was there for, I don't know, 10, 12 years practicing. And I worked with the moon extensively for at least 10 years. Like every moon was working with the moon as a manifestation device, and then, there's the building of the moon, and there's the release at the full moon. And then when the moon is kind of waning, there's the release of any energies. And so I was really, really working a lot with the moon. So what happened was my experience of working in there was wonderful, creative, magical, but there was an element of craziness that I experienced around me, a lot of it. And I remember being on there used to be something called witch camps that we used to organize in England. I became an organizer for this anarchical feminist witchcraft movement. Here's one man on the group trying to organize these anarchic feminist witches.
And channeling a goddess might as well.
Yeah. And it was crazy, and it was a crazy time, and there was crazy stuff going on there. And when I started coming to this work, I kind of was tuning in, and the word lunacy was really strong, and I felt actually the channels were right. There was something not right with the moon. I shouldn't be working with it magically. I did work with it magically, and it affected me as well, actually. There was a few things where I knew it affected me adversely. So I decided to sit and meditate on it. And then there was another teacher talking about releasing the moon. There's a system called the template. Juliet Carter, I think, Jiva and Juliet Carter wrote this book, World Bridger. And I met Juliet actually coincidentally. She's a nomadic traveler around the world, but I met her in a crystal shop in Glastonbury. And I did do some of their work with them for a while. And part of their work was releasing the energies of the moon. And I thought, I absolutely get that we need to do this. And so I just put it on the back burner, and I only connected with the Saya-Gola Gaia circuit, the Sun Moon, sorry, the Sun Earth circuit. So this kind of circuit, Sun and Earth. I didn't include the moon in any of it. So all of the transmissions are the Christ grid and the Earth grid and the angels holding it. The moon is not included anywhere in that. But then someone messaged me saying, I had a friend who was badly affected by the moon, and then I had was it a client or someone I knew email me going, my son is being attacked every full moon. So I just thought maybe I should do this meditation for them. So I created this moon matrix reversal meditation for them. And then I thought it's a bit too controversial to put it out there as a general. Maybe I'll keep it private for those clients who are okay, with it. But then I just felt, my work is not about that. If I'd done it, if it's going to help people, put it out there. So I put it out there, and then I had the most kind of comments on it, most questioning on it. What about putting crystals under the full moon? What about my moon cycles? What about this, that? And what the distinction is with that is it's not about the gravity of the moon, which does connect to women's moon cycles. It's about working magically with the moon. You can put your crystals out on the full moon if you want, but really it's the earth energies which are really clearing the crystals. But it's anywhere you've worked in this lifetime or any other lifetime magically with the moon, and lots of people work with the moon. We have to unhook and break that magical working with the moon. Mm-hmm. And it's different using the moon as a kind of clock, but I'm not, you're not working with the energies of the moon. And I've had some clients say, well, I'm working with the moon as a kind of clock, but I'm working with the earth energies, and that's fine. But if you're working with the moon energy, which is strong, this breaks it. And I still stand by it. I don't connect with the moon in any shape or form for any magical meditative. And there's all kinds of stuff about the moon. Is the moon hollow? We don't know. Are there alien bases on the moon? We don't know completely. I've got a feeling that the moon is not what we think it is.
There probably are some.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I mean, is my take on it, or the vibe I get. And but I've also heard channels say that now the moon has been taken back over, and it's okay. It's going to be okay again, and all of this stuff recently. So
I don't believe that yet.
You don't feel that?
Not yet. No, I don't believe I'll ever go back to the moon. Yeah. Because we don't know quite what it is. It's powerful, has a powerful effect on us, but so far that effect has not been positive. And the word lunacy, it's the ancients knew about it, and there've been all kinds of I don't know if it's true, but I read some studies that some police chief, the stats for crime would go up in the full moon. I'm not sure how true those things are, but I've read those kind of things. But what I witnessed in my 12 years in Wicca convinced me that it's not a good idea to use those energies, not magically. And they use magically all the time. So.
I feel like, why not just connect to a galactic moon? Like maybe like some other moon.
There's star systems, there's Pleiadians, there's Sirius, there's all kinds of things.
Exactly. So I feel like that works. So someone is asking, Stephanie is asking about her favorite meditation or transmission, and she can't remember the name of it. So do you remember which is the one where you make a dress of your traumas?
You make a what? A dress?
A dress of your traumas.
I've done so many and I can't remember, because once I've done them, I often forget them unless I rerun them myself. I can't remember that one. Make a dress. That's curious. I'll have to go and listen to that one. Make a dress of your traumas.
And then you burn it. I wonder, it reminds me of something in the ISIS one, actually, that where you go through, but I don't think it is. I think is it the one with the kids on it and you're down in the basement in the buckets? Or is that just what happened in my mind? Is that not what
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember that one either.
So Sarah's saying that her mom was a nurse and the patient numbers did increase on the full moon.
Yeah. Okay.
Stephanie thinks she might have made it up. I know. I'm like, did I make up the part where we're in the basement with the buckets? On the other one, there's like, probably there's things that happen to us during the transmission or that we experience that you might not say, but then that way,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. because I do give a little freeway by saying, you know, like, so I'm not trying to say, I don't do, okay, now visualize a green dragon, now visualize, do that. I'm not prescriptive. I'm kind of opening the space. Okay, let's call the dragon and see what comes, you know, and so I kind of do it more like that.
Oh, Stephanie says it is the one where you go in the basement. Okay, I think I can find that one. I think it has the pictures of the kids on the front, like a little boy with like a red shirt or something on the front of the YouTube.
Oh, all right. Let me have a look.
Something with, I don't know, but I think I could find it for her if it's the basement one, because I remember that.
It was one, not the one where you're exploring your own personal space, not the one with the house.
No, but that's a cool one. I just did that one recently when I cleared my house clear.
There's the body elemental meditation with a young girl with a red hat on, but I don't think it's that one.
No, it's a boy.
A boy.
Boy.
There's a star child transmission with a girl sitting on an elephant. Not that one.
No, I'm gonna find it and I will share it with you because she said don't waste time.
I'll have to do my own, but some of them are like a few years old, and some of these have been remastered. So even though they say 2 years old, sometimes they're older than that.
I always check if it says remastered or not, but I can tell because you've shifted, and so I can feel like and hear the difference of an older one, and I love them all, but I can tell when they're older. I listen to them, which is really cool. I love the house meditation. I found lately that I'm having like keeping the house clear, keeping energies clear. It's usually not like hard for me, but lately in the past week or two, I think it's the collective energy and the collective fear that is a little harder. I feel like I had to do a little more than just like exist.
Yeah, well, in the house one, there's so many rooms you can explore. You can explore the room of your chakras system, go through each chakra or ones which you feel problematic and see and rearrange and clear out and everything. You can go to one of the room of vows, which you can just clear out any negative vows or then find positive vows. You can explore lifetimes by going in and find, okay, let's explore my lifetime in Golden Atlantis. You can do those kind of things there as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And I use that the house meditation I use actually personally a lot.
Yeah.
A lot actually with clients and for myself, because it's so flexible and it's so good at clearing and inviting, and it's a great communication to our unconscious minds. So if you step in a room of the heart chakra or something and it's a bit messy, it's kind of sending a message to your unconscious. Let's clear the junk out and let's bring in some beautiful energies and seal the walls, and you know, and so the unconscious mind goes, oh, okay, let's change your heart chakra then.
I love it.
Yeah.
Feel it. Do you give private sessions? Someone's asking.
I do. I tend to get very booked up. The virus has actually increased my work, so I'm booked up probably 3 or 4 weeks in advance. And I've been very busy with clients, but I actually now only do 4 days a week because, well, actually with the virus lockdown, I'm doing 5, but apart from that, I normally do 4 because I find if I'm doing 5 days of client work, I don't have enough creative space to do the collective work, you know.
Yeah.
And that is my main mission, to shift the collective. You know, it's great doing sessions, it's great shifting one-to-one people, but if I can put one meditation out and 20,000 people are listening to it, then that's much more useful.
I hear you.
You know.
Working. So what is a session? Someone wants to know what a session with you is like.
Oh, a session with me, we go through a whole load of clearing statements and calling the angels and the grids and clearing out the chakra system of vows and energies. And then we go through a vow. So the Darius thing with vow breaks, I've got a whole vow break, a long vow break with all lower dark forces across all dimensions and timelines, which is very purging for people because vows attach us to the 3D matrix. So if we break vows with black magic, with dark ET groups, with, you know, false light teachers, with dark religious churches, you know, all of that, we break all of that in one go. And then I clear bloodlines or check the bloodlines of people. I check any individuals, or if they've got a particular issue, we hone in on the issue and we try and just work energetically to shift that issue in the body. And so, yeah, we cover a lot. And then in the second session, I start using the meditation on the house a lot, because that one is a great way of exploring people's energy and going off in any dimension. So I use that a lot with clients, timelines, um, devices, pulling out energies, dark crystals, dark devices, cord cutting, dissolving, and but it's also around what do they want to align with, what kind of energies do they want to call. They might want to call star councils and work and see who are they connected with. So it's a lot of releasing and realigning. I think that's mostly what I'm doing. Yeah. So I trained in a load of energy work and psychic surgery and also regular coaching and NLP. So I got a whole grounding in coaching.
Nice.
So, and it's really useful because sometimes you just need a coaching approach with an energetic appreciation rather than going off into the 10th dimension. You can go, just by asking someone a powerful question can evoke a whole load of stuff in their field. And then we go, what's this and this? Let's get rid of that. And did you ever see that film with Tom Cruise, Minority Reports, where
my favorite movies? Yeah.
You know, when he's doing all the shifting of the pushing that aside and bringing that in. I think I'm doing a little bit of that kind of thing. Yeah.
I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
I mention it all the time. That movie, like all the time.
Oh yeah, I do like Tom Cruise. I do like this film. Jerry Maguire is one of my favorite ones. You know.
Oh yeah, Show Me the Money.
The Show Me the Money, and the other one was what was it called? Is it Oblivion? Where he's do you remember the one Oblivion where he's
that one where he's out somewhere stuck or something, right?
Where he's protecting the satellites, and then he's working for the dark side. He doesn't realize it. Then he realizes I'm working for the wrong side, and then he starts switching sides. And Oblivion is a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend. I'm a bit of a sci-fi.
Yeah, I love that stuff too.
Yeah.
Somebody asked you another really cool question, but I'm trying to. Oh, yes, Brett. She said, what's one message you would like to share for this group to us?
Oh.
Right? I see. Scorpio coming in with them.
One message for this group. So this multidimensional living. Well, as you know, we are multidimensional beings. We've lived more than one lifetime. We've lived hundreds or thousands of lifetimes. This life is very powerful in a couple of ways. One way is it's enabled us to do a lot of spring cleaning out a lot of gunk that we've been collecting for a long time. And the other possibility is it's allowing us to activate a lot of gifts that we've learned in other lifetimes in this lifetime. You know, so people are clearing out all lower and they're activating light language and leadership skills and healing skills and working with crystals and stuff that's not really ever been on the planet before. So really, it's a two-way process, releasing the old paradigm and opening up to the new. And a lot of the training we're doing is just remembering. It's not really learning new things. A lot of it, it's remembering Atlantean lifetimes and Lemurian and what you did, you know, in shamanic times. So we have all this giftedness. So the great thing is once we purge out the lower and we break resonance with the matrix around us and we raise our vibration and stabilize it, then all kinds of doors become online that we can go, ooh, I could do that. I never knew about that. You know, what about this? And is that too weird? I could do that. No, it's not too weird. So the other thing I would say actually comes to mind is that our weirdness is our brilliance. That one, I actually share that a lot in kind of webinars, that what we think is we're most weird for is actually, if we really embrace it, is our brilliance, and people love us for it. So for years I resisted being too out there, too wacky. You know, my family weren't too keen on me being too wacky. So the moment I embraced, let me be totally weird, then people were going, you're not weird, you're my kind of weird.
Yes.
And yeah, so in terms of soul mission and, you know, even in terms of abundance and flow, it's so much better to embrace your weirdness. And where your weirdness and the needs of the planet meet is your abundance, your flow, your passion, your joy, really. So embrace your weirdness, but also be mindful of where that weirdness is needed in the world.
It resonates so much. I mean, it's exactly, I get this message time and time again for people in sessions and just with my own meditations. I've heard it echoed. I mean, it's like, it's so on point and perfect and awesome and beautiful and important. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Embrace your, we got to, I'm sure, Gia, you're embracing your weirdness like I am, you know,
absolutely. I'm
so we're all right.
fully in.
We're fully in. We just got to help others embrace their weirdness, you know.
Exactly. I think that's a big part of my, um, my mission too, is to sort of bring it all, everybody, give everybody the allowance and acceptance to just really be fully themselves and remember all the multidimensional parts of them. And,
Yeah. Well, I had a client once, well, she's still a client really. She's a tantra teacher in Europe, and she has a big issue that I'm too out there, I'm too weird, I'm not accepted. And so I had to look at her website and I said, you know what? You're not weird enough. You're not out there enough. You haven't embraced your weirdness. She was so shocked. I think it took her 2 weeks before she came back and spoke to me again. She was just like, I think what you said to me really hit me. I've always felt all my life I've been too weird, and you're saying I'm not weird enough.
yeah,
And it just seemed to break something in a mindset.
yeah,
And if you're not being accepted, you're not accepting yourself. You're not accepting your own weirdness. And then other people just reflect it. You've got to really embrace your weirdness and go out there. And she seems to be doing that now. And don't be afraid of people, you know, don't worry about what people think. I don't worry what people think. You know, in the early days when I was putting out all these YouTube clips, I used to read them and, oh, 700 people like me, but 3 people don't. I said, look, 3 people have put the thumbs down. How could they do that? You know, but actually over time, I realized that it's just going to happen. You could put out the most perfect, amazing message that touches you personally deeply, but people still might not like it. And so you can't, so now I kind of don't worry. I go, there's people who are going to not like what I put out no matter what I do. And so it's not about pleasing them, it's about serving the collective. So I don't worry if someone puts a comment on my YouTube like, you know, Jesus saves, I think you should embrace Jesus or something, or whatever they say, you know.
like, duh, the Aquarian Christ translation is bomb. Like, I already have.
Yeah, I think I kind of embrace the messenger and the message, but I don't like the churches very much, which is my, you know, I don't like the churches because I think they've been hacked into and they're not promoting really the message. I love the messenger,
Yeah,
actually,
sure.
you know. So yeah, so embracing our weirdness, and a lot of the people I see who are healers or therapists, and I look at their website and I'd say to them, why are you hiding? And they're like, oh, yes, yes, I am. And a lot of people are hiding because they're afraid of the dark anti-light forces. They're afraid, oh yeah, I remember, or my unconscious remembers back in, you know, the Middle Ages, I got burnt as a witch, or I got killed there, or I got imprisoned there, or I got tortured there. And so our unconscious mind remembers this and goes, it's not safe. But actually, it's safe in this lifetime to be brilliant, to be weird, because the light is shifting on the planet. The light, we're not in a dark world anymore, like we've been to thousands of years. The light has broken through, and now it's actually safe to be a light worker. It's not safe to be someone aligned with the dark, as they're finding out now, because they're getting exposed daily. You know, it's all coming out. And even though a lot of people are looking at it in disbelief, you know, give it 5 years, maybe max, and people will be looking at that and going, yeah, the dark, and that's what they're up to. And it's crazy what they're up to.
I know.
Crazy stuff.
I know.
You know, in America, you're getting, you know, WikiLeaks revealed all of that stuff. So, and more of the collective are watching that. And I think that will wake people up, actually.
Yeah. I was actually when you were talking about the people that give the thumbs down before I even go to that, you said the most beautiful gem. You said, in this lifetime, it's safe to be brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to put that on a meme, like ASAP. Like, send that around. That's
yeah, it's safe to be weird and brilliant, I think. Or
right?
Yeah, it's safe to be weird because your weird is your brilliance.
Right.
That is the truth. Yeah.
It's the same.
Well, I tried to be normal for so long and it didn't work very well.
Yeah. It's funny because you were an accountant and I used to be in staffing. I used to place accountants, and that was my focus. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I was in banking. I wasn't really an accountant, but I was in the kind of paper shuffling, international banking, you know, 1 million over there, 1 million that way. It was all numbers, you know.
Well, like fate, kind of, right? It's kind of, it's all fabricated in some sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these 3 people that don't like you, or however, 300 or whatever. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's really important to trigger people,
Yeah.
even though it's not, always pleasant. Sometimes your role is to be in a group of people who are like, wow, that person really says stuff that makes me angry or uncomfortable, or makes me want to hit the thumbs down as many times as possible, or write a bunch of angry comments.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what they need.
I think the more powerful the message, the more people are polarized into we love you, or some will be we can't stand you. We don't like your message. We want you out here. So that's the thing. The more we embrace our light and our true message, the more we will get that. So now I realize it. I'm going, great. I've got 10 dislikes. That means it's powerful. I mean, I think the worst thing is if it's like mediocre, no one really likes it or no one really hates it, then you haven't done it. You've just said nothing really important, really. So,
Yeah, Honey just said miserable being normal. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think she gave that up long time ago.
Yeah, like, do you remember even? No, she does remember.
No, I can't imagine her being normal.
Yeah, no, I mean, she had a quite a journey and awakening too. You guys will have to chat on it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I also feel that, I mean, 1999 was a big one, 2012 was a big one. And even if you didn't feel it in the time or know it, it's like as you look back, right? It's like a lot of us really, these waves, these big shifts up really did happen collectively. And it's really cool because we're in the middle of another one now. It's just like, what amazing
yeah,
to be alive and to be here on planet Earth right now. It's just, I mean, I came here for this. Like,
yeah.
let's
And
do
here we are in the virus, which is really polarizing. It's a very powerful event, and we're getting a lot of people who are going. I mean, I was walking in the park the other day, and there was a little bit of a bottleneck on the path, and this woman was walking with a dog and young son, and stepped back into the bushes off the park, and shouted at us, "I don't want to die," And we're like, "Oh well, bless you. Nor do we really." But she was terrorized, and I think there is this big polarization of people who are fearful, anxious, and there's a whole group of people going, this is what we trained for. Well, we're not really worried. I don't really have a fear around this time. I just feel it's a time of powerful shift. In fact, I look out on the world and think, nothing much changed. Other than there's not many cars around, the sky's got none of those crisscrossy chemtrail things, and
Yeah.
some of the shops are closed. But hey, it's life goes on, same as as always for me.
Well, I think some of us were kind of preparing for this in ways we didn't even realize. Like, a lot of other light workers I know who had been setting up their business online. Like, I was almost 100% already online, doing all my sessions virtually when this happened. So I only had a little tweak, like just a couple yoga classes on Zoom that used to be in person, and everything else was already kind of set up. And I had actually been saying, like, oh, like, really, these in-person sessions, I'm really kind of over it with these. Like, I'm like, I really want to go. Like, I really prefer my virtual sessions so much, and feel
Oh
like it
yeah.
went through. And
Well, I remember the days I used to commute 45, 50 minutes there, back. Now I roll out of bed and my office is just here.
right,
It's like brush my teeth,
pants off.
brush my hair, and
Yeah,
off we go.
I usually keep
It's
pajama pants on, and then I change my top,
okay.
and then
No,
sometimes
I haven't got pajama pants on. I've still got my trousers on, so I did change that. So
you're more dressed up than I am.
yeah.
Oh, it's so
So I'm
funny.
actually in my granddaughter's bedroom because in lockdown I came to stay with my granddaughter. So I'm in this tiny little room which is painted kind of pinky purpley
I
with
noticed.
all kind of baby pictures around. This has been my home for the last few months.
I think your inner goddess is probably happy.
Yeah, I've got lovely little butterfly lights, fairy lights over there, and
Love it.
it's all cool. Yeah,
Well, I hate for it to be over, but I've kept you past your
my
agreed upon
time.
time.
Well, thank you, everyone. I can't see you, but thank you for listening to the transmissions. And yeah, you're the ones making the world happen. Really, you're the ones building the grid and shifting the world energetically. I feel I'm just a Pied Piper, just playing the pipe, and people are, all the children are coming, following me.
That's pretty.
In a good way.
I think it's pretty accurate here in multidimensional living. So we are
Yeah.
your top fans. We love you. We thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you so much for being here, for being you, for being. And Just so much gratitude. You're amazing. We love you.
Thanks, Gia. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.